Hello everybody, I'm Van Souls. I'm out here with my good friend Mikey Balls with Gambler Baits, and made a day out on the Kissimmee chain today. We spent most of our time on Lake Kissimmee and spent a little bit of time in Lake Hatchinahall, and we're right here in the middle of October, getting into November, getting into that fall transition. And not so much that we have a turnover down here in Okeechobee or Kissimmee, but it does get a little bit tougher here. You're going to see some of the weights decline a little bit from those 27, 30-pound bags that you see in the summer and spring months. But right now what we're seeing in tournaments is somewhere around 20 pounds. You might see somebody come in with 20, 25. But for the most part, it gets to be a little tougher out there. And we started the day off, got a few fish, in the morning that were a little bit small, and then we actually went to the mats today. And they're making that fall transition from really feeding up in the grass lines in the summertime, and kind of making their transition in. And in the lake right now, the grass is really thinning out, the water levels are really high, and it really allows more access to those matted up, isolated grass mats that are there, blown into lily pads and buggy whips out there on the lake. And today we found most of our success and most of our keeper fish around some isolated mats that were floating, just blown up into the lily pads today. And most of them went and hit a BB cricket. And as you guys may have used before, the BB cricket, it's a small compact bait. A lot of guys use it in the wintertime. I pretty much use it year round. It's a confidence bait for me, and I'm going to use it year round. I mean, it'll catch big fish pretty much every month out of the year. It does excel in the wintertime, but getting into that mat, you need something compact. It slips right through. Today we had it rigged. For the most part, this is a 2-ounce weight, but for the most part, we had a 1.5 elite tungsten weight rigged, and and I got it paired up with a 3/0 Cobra hook. And the thing about the Cobra hook is I really like the comeback on the hook. The hook comes in, and it has a lot of comeback on there, which when that hook gets up inside that bass's lip, it's going to almost create like a lock when his lip is in this area. And you want it to kind of come down a little bit. Don't want it to be straight. Also, too, it helps keep your bait weedless. You're not going to have a whole lot of separation with your bait coming out. So you're going to stay a little bit more weedless, and you're going to get through those little tight mats, especially when that wind's blowing and it packs it in and makes it even tighter. 65-pound test braid is what we're using, spider wire. This is their Invisibraid, and pretty much I like the spider wire because it's a little bit quieter than some of your other braided lines. It's not going to have the back and forth guitar sound, I call it. But this is more smoother. It's going to allow for your bait to go in and not have a whole lot of noise in there. And from time to time, just like any of your other braids, it doesn't hurt to color it black or green or whatever your water clarity choice at the time is going to be, because I think you get more bites that way. Just like any braided cloth line, it's going to fade. Had it paired up on a Halo XXX 711. Again, it's a 7'11" flipping stick. It's just like it's a super triple heavy duty flipping stick, and you really need that to get them out of those matted up areas, because when you're doing that, you got to put everything in your advantage. And this stick here is gonna give you that added advantage that you need especially when you hook up with a big one that's going to run you back into that grass or that mat and get all tangled up. You're going to have to hold tight and get in there with the trolling motor and pull them out of that matted up stuff. And I always like to use a high gear ratio reel. We have a Lews Speed Spool Tournament MG BB1, and it's a 7:1 to 1 gear ratio. And I like to do that so I can make more pitches, reel it in, make more pitches, and that's key when you're going in there, especially with the wind blowing like it was today. Although you got power poles, you want to be able to go through efficiently as much as you can, and then power pole down and then get to another area, because it's all about numbers and how many pitches you can make in there in an area to trigger that bite. And also too, we kind of swapped up in certain areas. I think some of our bigger bites came on the Gambler Why Not, and this Why Not it's a little bit bulkier bait. I'd say it's about 4 inches, a little bit over 4 inches in length, but it's a little bit bulkier than the BB cricket, and it did trigger some bigger bites today. The two big fish that we had came on the why not out of the matted up vegetation. Had it paired with a 1.5 ounce weight. If I had to do it over again tomorrow, I'd probably go with the 2 ounce on the why not and a 1.5 on the cricket, just based on our practice day today. Rigged up same XXX Halo rod, and actually went to a 5/0 Cobra hook on here. And again, the 5/0 is just a bigger version of the 3/0. It's going to have some comeback on it. It's not just a straight up gaff. I mean, I've experimented with a lot of hooks, and these Cobra hooks, you know, they don't bend, and they're very durable. They got a great barb on it, and again, the comeback is key, because if the fish is going this way and you lock on it this way, you want it to lock in. It's going to help you stay hooked up. Again, it's, same rod, Lews 7-to-1 Speed Spool, and pretty much the same identical setup with the line, 65 pounds Power Pro, and it's it's the same setup, just bigger, bulkier bait. But for the most part, what we did out there today was just look for isolated vegetation. Some of them came on hard lines, some of them came on isolated vegetation, but this time of year on Kissimmee, it's going to get a little bit tougher on this chain. I think in the fall months, with the wind picking up and the lake going through a change, you know, it's going to be a little bit tougher. And the matted up vegetation is a key pattern all year long. And at this time of year, when things get tougher and the bait's moving and the fish are moving, you know, your more stability pattern is going to get you through these tough times. And the matted vegetation for me seems to be the most go-to milk run pattern for me out here on this body of water. But if you're out here fishing and you're gonna stop out between Okeechobee and Kissimmee, I highly recommend Gambler's BB Cricket and Gambler's Why Not to go out and get through that matted vegetation.